Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about several updates to my portfolio and some positions that I've opened that I would like to share and do a deeper dive with you all. First off, we're going to do Open Door Technologies. As you all know, the stock has been in the news as of recent. Of course, I like to be transparent with everybody. This was my average cost, this is my total return, and this is what I actually got in today's return. So I like to talk about that. I did do one covered call here. You can see I actually collected right here $42, so that was nice, and that is actually going out into 1 month. We can see it's on the 24th of October. We can see overall the performance hasn't been the best, but that's okay. We can look at 1 week and there has been a lot of turmoil in this particular stock, but that's okay. 1 month, that's where it starts to get impressive. And of course the 3 month nearing 1,600% return, which is kind of insane just to even think about that, because this stock back in July 15th was only $1.04. And we can see year to date, we're up 453%. And we can see that, obviously as we continue to go up on this, we can see where that price return was. And of course, people are thinking we're going to hit around $82 a share, but on the peaks right here, we can see, it was definitely different. What I like to actually change here is we can actually go to this right here. We can turn off all hours. And what I like to do sometimes is actually just look at it from this perspective, because it gives you a little bit of better idea. And we can see exactly where the price was today. And we can see exactly where that was, because when we actually do all hours right here, right, this actually changes it, right? Because we can only go back. That was just a little tit on that. This company particularly is in the news. I would watch it, I would pay attention to it. And it is a company that I do think is a long shot that you want to keep on your radar. Let's move on to the next stock right now. My next stock here is Grab. The reason that I actually went ahead and got some of this stock was because I believe in the company long term. You can see my average cost, of course. I like to be upfront and transparent. You can see how many shares I own, which is 100. I did do a covered call, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But the point in this is that the company's performance here today has been impressive, 31.92%. Of course, it's not the highest. We actually hit higher, around 36.36%, which was back, a few days ago on the 22nd of September. But what I like about this particular company is that if we come down here, we can see they're actually profitable, right? We can see right here, this is exactly where the earnings are, and they're becoming a very profitable company, consistently hitting on that. And that's what I like to see. So the point in all of this is that we want to see a company that is profitable for long-term investing. A lot of people have said for this specific company that it is a skyrocket potential. And, we could see as high as $13 by the end of the year, which I wouldn't be super surprised on that, because if we come and look at the IPO price back on December 1st, 2020, it was $11.89. And of course, we have those big spikes of $16 and $16. So $13, I see that as a realistic possibility. Now, of course, this is not financial advice. I like to think of it as long-term investing. And of course, do your own research, because you need to understand who these companies are and what they're doing. And the last thing to note here is that you can actually see the pattern here. This reminds me very much of like a Robinhood. If we go look at the actual scale of that, and this also looks like a Palantir, we can see that a lot of this is reminiscent of some old companies. And that's why I think, if you go and study this chart back and even to the 2023, this company just wasn't doing much. But I think long term, it's a good buy. I ran a covered call on it. We can see right here, I did a call of 7.5, and we did 1 month out, and we went ahead and collected $15 on this. And my general rule, if you haven't watched my other video, is that I like to close these positions out at 50%. We can see currently right now, we're at 33.33%. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out at 50% and then reinitiate another covered call. So when you look at this, you can definitely tell that the company on its own is going to be long-term. And that's why I think it's a long-term hold. If you're unsure of what this company does, go ahead and take a look at that right there. I'll let you read it. They're actually not based out of the US. They're based out of Singapore, which is something to note. And they are quite large of a company at 11,267 employees. And they were founded in 2012. Grab is a good company, and I think overall it's a good buy. Of course, do your own research. We're going to move on to the next stock right now. My next stock here is FUBO TV. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is actually a streaming service, and I'm gonna actually come down here so you all can read it. So a lot of this actually competes with like Netflix and DirecTV Plus and all of that. So this is a streaming service. This is for television news, it's for sports, it's for entertainment. And what's really unique about this company is they're actually going to start partnering up with some pretty big companies. Go ahead and do your own research on that. I won't talk about it, but overall, I think their performance year to date has been staggering. We can see it skyrocketed back here. You know, this is what the big jump was back to, you know, what was that? January 7th, 2025. We can see, you know, it shot up, and the reason for that was because of the mergers and acquisition deals that they were talking about. But overall, I think this is a good buy because this company is continuing to be profitable. And we can see back here on their highs, they were around $48.73 a share. And we can see all the way back here on IPO price, they were $12.11. So we can see this company has actually been doing something recently. And of course, we can come down here, and I like to look at the profitability. We can see exactly where their profitability here is, and we can actually see where their actual expected price is. And we can come down here and look at their profitability, at their earnings. And what I like to see is, look at this, continuous beat on earnings. I love to see that. So this is a thing that I like to look at when companies start to become profitable. You want to look at this closely. And of course, I sold a covered call right here on it. We can see the price, and what I actually got for it right there was $13. So I think it's overall a good hold, but of course, do your own research. And that is a company that I think is worth looking at long term. FUBO TV, it seems to be a good bet or a long-term hold. Let's move on to my last stock right now. My last stock, of course, is Robinhood Markets, ticker symbol HOOD, Hood. And like I have said before, this stock has continued to outperform so many of the big companies. It just got included into the S&P 500, and the year to date is very impressive, 217.49%. And I have held, and we can actually see what my total return has been. Of course, there was a little bit of a pullback today. You can see my average costs. And of course, the platform that we are currently working on here is Robinhood. So go ahead and look into this company more. I think this is a $500, even $1,000 stock in about 5 to 7 years. It's such a good company. I'm excited to be along for the ride. And I think, overall, the company is skyrocketing. They're profitable. We can see exactly where they're going, and I'm just so excited to be part of them. So look into the company. Hopefully, stock continues to go up and we don't have any more choppiness in the water. We can look at the max time frame, and like I was mentioning, right? When you look at Grab, when you look at FUBO TV, it reminds you of this, right? Started off there, we had some spikes, and we're somewhere in this mid-cycle right here, and overall, it's going to go up and to the right. So hope this helped you guys out. Let me know if you have any more questions, or if you want to talk about a particular stock, drop them down in the comments below. As always, thank you for supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.